Welcome to Pebbles of Light. I'm your host, Ann Maxon. Have you ever felt a bit lost during the dark times of life's challenges? I know I have. I'm so grateful for those friends, loved ones, and even strangers that have provided me a pebble of light in the form of understanding and support. They've blessed my life, sometimes even more than they know. Seeing a little bright spot on the path has helped me to move forward when things are difficult. This show is here to celebrate those who add light to our lives. We will share some of their stories as well as ways in which to light the paths of others. Please come find me on Instagram and Facebook at Pebbles of Light, as well as at ammaxon.com. I love having the opportunity to interact with you and hear about those who've added a pebble of light to your path. Enjoy the show. Welcome to episode 11 of Pebbles of Light. I'm grateful to be back. It was a nice break, but I've been gathering all sorts of wonderful interviews with people that have such amazing pebbles of light to share. In this first one back, I get to introduce you to one of my friends that has been such an inspiring writer to me. You may have seen on Instagram that we were once listed next to each other in a publication. That friend, Elissa Dickey, has her debut novel coming out in March. I'll put the pre-order link in the show notes. Before we jump in, here's a quick word from this week's sponsor.
Did you start any new hobbies during the pandemic? Our family started designing t-shirts and other apparel. We made a bunch of different designs focusing on the positive message, see good days. We also did a design called Please Stay that helps raise money for suicide awareness and prevention through automatic donations to the National Suicide Hotline. Check out the link in the show notes to go to the See Good Day shop and watch. Get 10% off with a discount and 10. That's Ann with an E and 10. Why do it again? I want to.
Over Christmas break, the boys designed some fun chess and taekwondo related shirts. We also designed one for a friend who's battling breast cancer. Be sure to check them out at the See Good Day shop. The link will be in the show notes. Also, let's review way back for our Pebble of the Week from the last episode. It was to choose one small thing that you can do to make your home more sacred. Remember, the episode was the one about the crashing Christmas tree that broke the ornaments and talking about how no thing is sacred. Feel free to reach out on Instagram or Facebook and give me all of your tips about how to have a more sacred home. All right, on to this week's episode. Elissa is from the same small little town in northern Minnesota as Myrna Peterson from episode 7. Elissa and I went to college together in Minnesota. We were both leaders in the peer ministry group, and we were even part of a small group that got to do study abroad in a little town on the west coast of Ireland together. One of my favorite memories of Elissa was when us little small town girls headed down to the big city of Minneapolis to go to a Bon Jovi concert shortly after college graduation. About 7 years ago, Elissa was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. We'll talk a bit today about receiving that diagnosis, and we'll also talk about how love and support of friends and family can be such a lifeline during those difficult times. We'll also talk about how the main character in her new novel called The Speed of Light also has a MS diagnosis and why that is. Hope you enjoy this interview with Elissa. Hey, Elissa, thank you so much for being here. Can you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, Ann. My name is Elissa Dickey, and I'm originally from Minnesota, but I now live in South Dakota, and I am an author. And my debut novel, The Speed of Light, comes out in March from Lake Union Publishing. And I'm really excited just that my debut novel is coming out, but also the story is about a main character with multiple sclerosis. And it's really special to me because I too live with MS.
So can you talk a little bit about receiving your diagnosis of MS and what it was like to tell your friends and family about that diagnosis?
Honestly, receiving a diagnosis of MS is a long process. So honestly, by the time I was diagnosed, for the most part, my family and close friends all knew that that's what they were suspecting, because it's kind of a process of ruling other things out. But I'd say earlier, it was difficult telling friends and family or anyone really about what I was experiencing in terms of symptoms, because it's difficult to explain and I didn't know really what was happening, and it wasn't happening all the time. So it felt weird to be saying how one day I could barely walk and then the next day I'd be just fine. And honestly, it really led to months of, fear and uncertainty. And so it was a devastating diagnosis, but getting that news and having an answer was kind of a relief of sorts after the months of uncertainty. But since then, like telling other people about it, like telling friends I haven't seen in a while or acquaintances or coworkers, that's awkward and difficult just because, for one thing, sometimes I think I'm completely fine to talk about it. But then when you actually have to say the words and tell someone, it kind of brings it all up again. And then I'll start crying out of the blue. And so that's kind of awkward. But people are always so nice, obviously. And it's such a, you can, sometimes I'll know someone for quite a while and they won't know because even though it's such a big part of my life, it doesn't come up in everyday conversation. And I don't know if I thought I'd share this just because you know this person too, but a couple of years ago when I had just started on treatment for MS actually, and my youngest was 6. And so we were all kind of adjusting to it. And a friend from college was traveling through unexpectedly, and Monica Travis, I'm sure you know, wonderful person. And so it was great to see her. And it was something I was going to bring up, but this was as far as like not knowing how to do it. Sometimes it's done for you when you have small children. So because we're sitting at the dinner table and my 6-year-old out of the blue says, my mom has to do shots forever. And Monica's like, what? And I'm like, oh, hey, subject change. Let's talk about this. So honestly, it was like, whoop, but that's an icebreaker. And then I was able to bring it up easily. So yeah, in general, it can be kind of scary, or I keep using the word awkward, but it's not always that because, people won't be mean, but it's just, it changes things when you tell someone. And so it's a level of vulnerability, I guess, but everyone has always been so nice about it.
Yeah, I like that idea of vulnerability. I have a good friend who was diagnosed with MS as well. And for her, it was also kind of just weird symptoms. She just kept getting double vision.
Yeah.
For her. And it was this period of time trying to figure out what to do. And so how old were you when you were diagnosed?
I got to do math now. I was 34.
I think she was a little bit younger than that. And she had 4 young children.
Yeah.
And so as a mom, how does that hit you? Because I feel like sometimes we have this idea of invincibility, which as we get older declines anyway, but you want to be invincible as a mom.
Right.
And so how did that diagnosis kind of come to fruition with you in that regard of how it may change your ability to mother or the way that you mother? I mean, I don't think it would change your ability, but maybe it would just change your process of mothering.
Right. No, it has definitely, from the beginning, changed it. My youngest, Ernie, was 1 at the time, and he was in a 1.5, where he was in that toddler phase of, he was running, he was, everywhere, mobile. And so it was, I distinctly remember those first few weeks of my symptoms when I would unexpectedly not really be able to walk and not knowing what was wrong and thinking, how am I going, no mother, I guess, or no parent wants to think of, can I take care of my kids? So it was definitely a scary situation in that respect. But over time, as we've all kind of adjusted together, honestly, my stepdaughter remembers before I had it. My older son was 6 at the time, and he honestly doesn't really remember me not having it. So I feel like my younger 2 have kind of grown up now knowing that I have it, and to varying degrees of understanding. And so it's hard, like especially this year, I've been thinking a lot recently about being the sick mom. Because I know that especially with the pandemic and my underlying condition, we've been more cautious than a lot of families. And so, they're missing out on things. And it's hard not to think, oh, they're missing out on it because of me. But I think we've all grown more empathetic. And that's something that I've noticed. My older son is a caretaker. He's much like his dad that way. And so I see his empathy has just grown exponentially. He's a helper. He asks how I'm feeling and that sort of thing. And even my little guy, he, sometimes it's like, I'm sure, mom needs to take a nap again. And he's like, what? But at the same time, I distinctly remember where I was having kind of a tough day and needed to lay down. And he was about 4, and he came and sat by me and said, okay, mom, I'll just bring you whatever you need. And it was so sweet. And I just, it's kind of one of those, the kids will be all right situations where this isn't ideal and it's not what a lot of families go through, but we're doing the best we can. And it's better. I've learned that it's better to listen to my body and rest when I need to. And even if it means, okay, they're going to have a little bit of extra screen time, or okay, we have to put off going outside or playing that game because I need to rest. It's better in the end for everyone because then they get a mom who is rested and ready and energetic to play and to do activities together.
That makes sense. The importance of prioritizing self-care for you so that you're able to be there for your kids in those times that you need to. But when you were talking about them kind of stepping up and being helpers for you, it reminded me of an interview I did not too long ago with Myrna Peterson, which is interesting because the two of you are from the same itty bitty town in northern Minnesota. But Myrna talked about that as well, in how her becoming a quadriplegic helped her children see the world differently and be more compassionate and have a desire to help and serve people who are differently abled. And I think that sometimes that's one of those underlying blessings of the trials that we go through, is it helps those around us be more compassionate and more have a better perspective on things, I guess would be a way to say it.
Yeah. Well, yes, Myrna's amazing and their whole family is wonderful. And I miss being up in Minnesota and Deer River and everything. But yes, definitely that has crossed my mind that, I think it has changed perspectives. And, I certainly try, and I know that my family does too, tries to think of what other people might be going through, especially because with MS, you don't always see it. It's not there on the surface. It's kind of an invisible illness sometimes. So just trying to always step back and think about what other people might be going through that is not there on the surface that you could see.
Yeah, whether that's physical or mental health, I think that's an important perspective on that. How have your other friendships and your husband, and how has that support system helped you to navigate these changes?
I thought about that, and it's been everything. And I know that sounds dramatic, but friendship and family and my husband, it has really made all the difference. It's just hard to put into words or like name specific times when it's made a difference, because it's just, even though we're far apart, or my family and friends, it's like they're always with me. They're just always there. I remember the day I was diagnosed, my best friend sent flowers to my hotel room in Rochester. Mm-hmm. And then since then, my friends and sisters have visited, they've called, they've sent care packages. And throughout life, this is something that it's amazing how sometimes a card always seems to show up, like a card of support. It'll come in the mail exactly when you need it. And that's how I have found like phone calls from friends or a letter from my sister. Like it's lifted me when I've needed it, even though we're not together. And also it reminds me that one of my sisters texts me every day the morning after I take my injection, because she knew early on that, because I do it 3 times a week. And so she knew early on that I had trouble, like side effects when I first started. And so now every day she sends me a text to ask how I'm feeling, like the 3 times a week that I've taken it. And it's just, those little acts of love are just everything.
That is so sweet.
Yes, it's amazing. And I feel like just having that gift of knowing that my family and friends are going to be there, like no matter what happens in life, is amazing. And it has certainly made all the difference for me as I've navigated this illness.
So Elissa and I did a study abroad in Ireland together. Wow. Way long ago.
It was only a few years ago.
It was only a few years ago.
Only
We're
20.
26.
I know. Yes, exactly.
Your book is also set in Ireland. Was that kind of a ploy? Because I know you took a trip there to do some pictures and stuff, where you're like, I'm going to set the book in Ireland, so I have a reason to go there.
Oh, no, that would be good for a thing. But actually, just to clarify, my debut is not set in Ireland. I have a few stories I'm working on now. One of them is set in Ireland. So certainly I'm definitely going to need to keep making trips back there in order to, have some research and everything.
Yeah, there you go. How long ago was it? With some friends in order to do some pictures and your author pictures?
Yes. It was the beginning of this year, if you can believe it.
What?
Like, this year has lasted a decade, and I can't believe we were able to go, because it was seriously right as we were getting back, everything was shutting down. Like flying there, no problems. And we were there 10, or actually I think we were there like 8 days or something. But on the way back is when they were like asking questions and checking and stuff. So I can't believe that we were able to go. And honestly, the word that I keep thinking of is surreal, because we went back and it was a much shorter trip, so we didn't recreate everything. But we went back to Lewisburg, where we stayed for our study abroad trip, and standing on that beach where we used to go, it was just surreal and amazing. Those are the 2 words that I would use to describe it.
So how do those particular moments of just taking time away to spend time with friends and focus on, I don't know if I want to say life before MS, but just to kind of remember those times, how has that helped give you strength and empowerment to keep moving forward when things are difficult?
That's a really good question, because I think it's a little of both, because definitely being on a trip with my friends, yes, it reminds you of those young, carefree times. And so it did remind me of life before. But on the other hand, it was a lot different this time, because I'm 20 years older and I deal with fatigue, and I hadn't traveled in a long time. And I certainly hadn't traveled since having to bring injections. And I was like, how do I pack these? What do I do? And so it was definitely a lesson learned that it was amazing and surreal, as I keep using those words, but I wanted to do it all. And yet I kind of realized, next time I travel, which hopefully at some point we'll get to travel again, that I need to factor in time to rest, and I need to not think I'm back to being 20 or whatever, but just listen to my body and do what I can, and not, kind of not give up, obviously, but just listen to my body. And it's okay to rest and to not do all the things. And we certainly, obviously we didn't climb Mount Kilpatrick again. That was a no-no. But it's just such an active trip when I'm not used to it.
It was a little bit of reality.
Yes. Yeah. But then, I tried to, it was hard. Because thinking about like, oh, wow, I used to be able to do this. But then it was like, well, now I've learned my lesson. And that's what you do, is you learn your lesson and you move forward, and you decide next time I'll be better at listening to my body. So just like when I'm with my kids, that if I have to take a nap, then I'll be better this evening when we're doing this. If I have to miss out on this activity, then I'll be better. I'll be more energetic when I'm doing this.
As far as your novel, can you tell a little bit about the storyline, and then also how sharing your story through that has helped you process the diagnosis? Yes,
absolutely. It's book club fiction, and it is about a woman, and it's a dual timeline. So it covers a year in the life, a tumultuous year is the wording that they use, in the life of a woman who is grappling with an MS diagnosis, and also a new love and a terrifying workplace incident. So not to give anything away, but you start with a present timeline, and this scary thing happens, and then it kind of like flashes back and forth throughout into the past year when she was diagnosed, and just falling in love, and then kind of going through all that, and then having the timelines meet up. And so, the hope is it's super page turning and exciting, so that you'll keep going back and forth between the timelines. But yes, my main character has multiple sclerosis, and it was extremely therapeutic to write this. And honestly, if I'm honest, I basically wrote the story for myself. I wrote it because it was what I needed when I was diagnosed. It helped me process some of the fears and doubts, and just kind of all of the emotions I have about living with MS, and the symptoms and the uncertainty and the starting medication and just all of that. Like I told my husband, I wrote it for myself, but now that it's going to be shared with the world, I'm hoping that, the fact that I was able to put someone in the story like me who lives with a chronic illness, and have them be the main character of their own story, and pursuing their happily ever after. That's what I want readers to take away, is that people with chronic illness and disability deserve to be the heroes of their own story and deserve their happily ever afters.
It's kind of like, what's that TV show? Homeland? The lead character has bipolar, I think. And she's like a CIA agent. And they just wanted to try and not normalize, but help people become aware.
Right. And that is exactly it, where it's, don't stigmatize it, have stories of us living our lives, basically, and have it be normal.
Exactly. The other day, you shared a post, and you said, 7 years ago today, I was sitting in an exam room receiving a diagnosis that would change my life. To be honest, it felt like a huge relief to have an answer after months of uncertainty, but the answer was multiple sclerosis. I was scared for the future. I thought my dreams were over. I'd missed my chance, but I soon realized that was wrong. The time was now. So with encouragement from family and friends, I finally decided to pursue my dream of becoming an author. 3 months from now, my debut novel comes out. This is in itself wonderful, and the fact that the story is about a woman who is dealing with an MS diagnosis only makes it that much more amazing. I'm honored and grateful to be able to share this story with the world. To anyone going through a scary, uncertain time, I just want to say that I see you and I understand. I also want to say that it is not too late. Please don't give up on your dreams. Keep going no matter what. And I feel like that ties in with kind of what you just said. In what ways do you think that sharing your story will help you be able to uplift others? I know you've had a few copies of your book floating around already, reader copies. Have you heard any stories from those experiences of people?
Not yet. I haven't heard of people sharing my illness necessarily reading it. But yes, that I definitely, getting that diagnosis and having that be like kind of no day but today mentality, that's why I decided to do this. And I hope that is something that, whether it's writing or whether it's another dream, that it just does help people realize that just start now. It's not too late. And I do want to add a caveat, because I think I added it on Twitter, that the never give up mentality, with the caveat of let your body rest. And obviously I'm still learning this, but don't push yourself to do something that is going to be detrimental to your health. But there's no timeline but yours. It's never too late. Let your body rest, come back and do your best.
Prior to the diagnosis, what do you think was holding you back from writing the book?
it was there's always time later. Well, I mean, it was life. It was full-time job,
Yeah, young kids.
Yes, it's the same old story, so to speak. Same thing that everybody goes through because it's tough. There's so many things that we have going on in our lives. But it was finally realizing, yes, that someday is today, where I always thought it was something I'll do in the future. And I had, this was forcing me to think about, well, today is the day to start. And if I want to do it, I'll do it now. And so obviously didn't magically become more hours in the day. So it was a matter of having it become a part of my normal routine until it felt normal. And then writing was something I did. And that was, I think, the entire thing, where writing a book is something other people do, or it's just this huge thing. And how, I'll do it later. I'll figure out how to do it. But honestly, it's just sitting down and writing for a few minutes, for a few hours, a few times a week, every day, like whenever you can, until it becomes part of your normal routine. And then suddenly you have a book.
Theoretically, I would think that after that diagnosis, you would be more busy. It would be harder to juggle all of the things. Do you know what I mean? But just a matter of prioritization, right?
Right.
And just all of a sudden, there's just kind of this extra layer of mental fatigue,
Oh, definitely. Yes. And that's where I think it was kind of a dual benefit then, because it was also very therapeutic to be able to write. I mean, just writing in general is relaxing. It helps, get stressors out. You put it down on the page. Mm-hmm. So it was the benefit of having that mentality of today is the day, I need to start now. And also having it be something that, kind of an escape from the scary uncertainties. I could just dive into a story.
So how did you decide the plot line for your character and where it was very similar in regards to MS? How did you decide the plot line to have it be similar or different from your own personal experience?
I would say it was like internal and external. Like the internal, what she's going through was very much my own, but externally, like kind of the things that happen are not things. That's the fiction part, is the things that are going on around her.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give too much away.
So where can people find out more about you and about the Speed of Light?
They can visit my website, which is elissadickey.wordpress.com, or find me on Facebook at Elissa Gressel Dickey, and then Instagram, Twitter. The Speed of Light, you can search for on Goodreads to add it, or on Amazon. You can pre-order. You can add it to your to-be-read list on Goodreads. You can order it for your local library. Any and all of those things are wonderful.
Awesome. And it officially comes out, is it March?
Yes, March 1st from Lake Union Publishing.
Last question. The purpose of Pebbles of Light is to celebrate those relationships that have helped to brighten our path and in turn help us to brighten the path of others. So can you share about one or two people who have placed a pebble of light in your path?
I think I'll use that example of my sister, if that's okay, because one, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Erica. And just that, it probably is no big deal to her that she texted me. But it's just knowing that but it's definitely a pebble of light, knowing that someone is thinking about me and wishing me well and is with me, and that I'm not alone. It's amazing.
And even just aware, right?
Yes. Yeah. To know that even though, most days I'm fine and life is busy, that it's there, and sometimes it affects me more than I even realize. And so it's nice just to have that support from afar. Is one okay? Or I can think of a second one. I'm sorry.
Oh, go for a second one.
Okay. Well, no, my husband doesn't like to get very much credit. He does not like to be on social media. He is very much just a behind the scenes person, but he has been my partner through life. And I think I shared this in an earlier blog post, but when I went to get my diagnosis, he drove us to Rochester during a blizzard on his birthday just because we needed answers. And he's my rock, and he is everything. Without his support, I don't know where I would be. And he has supported my dreams and my career. And that's something too, is that it's easy for me to say, just do it, go after your dream. But I'm lucky that, because a lot of those nights that I was writing, he was cleaning, he was doing the laundry, he was cooking, so having a supportive partner as someone living with a chronic illness and as someone following a dream as an author is amazing. And I appreciate him so much.
I love that. Thank you so much, Elissa, for being here. It's been so wonderful to talk to you. Thank you again for being here.
Thanks so much, Anne. This is wonderful. And I love your podcast, and I appreciate this opportunity so much.
I hope you've loved this episode with Elissa. I had the chance to read an advanced copy of her new book, The Speed of Light. I really appreciated how it talked about how the main character processed her diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. And I think it provides excellent insight into how we can help and support our friends and family in similar situations. One thing Elissa said in this interview was the need to be flexible in what you can do from day to day. My experience with this is much less intense than someone living with a chronic illness, but even for me, that is a difficult thing to do, to step back and recognize when I need a break. So the pebble for this week is to be gentle with yourself. I love the Create Your Day meditation from Brooke Snow, and I use it multiple times a week. Near the end of the meditation, Brooke says, I allow every moment to unfold as it will this day, even if it is different from my intention. That phrase helps me to be gentle with myself and to be forgiving of myself. So try to do that this week as you go throughout your week. Check the show notes for links to the book, more about Elissa, as well as the See Good Days shop that the boys mentioned. Keep looking for those bright spots on your path, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in today. More than what has been said, I hope that you've been able to listen to your thoughts and feelings. Maybe you've thought of someone who has brought light to your path. Let them know of your gratitude. Maybe you've been inspired as to how to add some light to your own path or the path of another. Do your best to act on those feelings and impressions. I would love to learn more about you and your experiences. Please come find me on Instagram and Facebook at Pebbles of Light. If you like what you hear, please review so we can spread this light further. You can find show notes and more resources at annmaxon.com. Until next time.